Welcome, fellow travelers,
to the
tis the drinker
zone.
Yay! Well, hopefully everyone's having a lovely day today. We certainly had a great time on Open Bar on Thursday night, but as always, well, there's a bunch of super chats that we weren't able to get through, so we are here now to answer your questions and get to the truth. God damn it! So we're gonna do our best, and well, we don't believe in hanging around here. So how about we just dive right into this stuff?
Yes, do it.
Right, I think this might have been the last one from Sean Dobor. Says, guys, can you give one positive TV show recommendation? I've got literally nothing to watch. I mean, we did recommend One Piece, but yeah, failing that.
Yeah, I mean, so for new, we'll go with One Piece. For old, I'll go with Farscape. I've been watching that recently. Rewatching it, rather.
Good. Yeah, you mentioned that to me the other day. I was like, yeah, good to see you rewatching it again.
Very fun show.
Holding up okay so far?
It's got the exact... I'd almost have a lot of same things to say about it like I did for One Piece, where, you know, it's like the crew as they start is a royal who's stuck up his own ass, a warrior who's angry a lot of the time and always goes aggressive, a priest who's all about healing and defense, and then like a soldier in the form of Aaron's son, who's the one that has the most trouble being, you know, binding as a team, and then you have John Everyman, basically. And it's just like, of course, what a genius idea for a team where they all bounce off each other and they all have different opinions about everything that happens in the show. It's a really normal thing to do, and they all get characterized within one episode. That's something they used to do, Drinker. They used to do that on TV. They used to do that all the time.
They used to be, what you mean? You used to give people characters and consistent personalities, and then just like have that inform their decisions throughout the rest of the show. Oh my god!
The structure for Farscape is actually funny sometimes. The episode will start, and it'll just be like, "There's a ship over there; it's on fire," and then Dargo will be like, "Let us loot it for all of its like worthy items," and then, you know, Zod is like, "Oh, but we should probably see if there's anyone in distress, take care of it," and then. You know, Aaron will be like, let's just get the fuck out of here. We don't know what's going on, and it might be a trap. And then Crichton, he's always the one with the super reasonable take of just like, calm down, what's going on? I don't understand anything that's happening.
He's got to kind of like rein everyone else in most of the time.
Yeah, and then as the seasons go on, he gets more and more familiar and confident.
Yeah, well, it's good. Like, you know, I feel like we're just going to go off on a total tangent and talk about Farscape for an hour, but they managed to like have the characters advance and kind of grow, but keep the same basic dynamic going, which is not an easy thing to do, because you think, well, okay, the more time they spend together, the more they'll get to know each other, the less you'll get the sparks where they have differing points of view, and you know they'll argue and stuff. But they somehow manage it, and I think towards the later seasons, they kind of had to resort to like bringing in extra characters just to give them fresh meat.
I remember being less fond of the additional characters compared to the core.
Jewel, I didn't like that much.
That's the old lady, right? Oh no, you're talking about the one that screams and metal melts, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt like they didn't really know what to do with that power of hers, and like, yeah, she was just a bit annoying. Like, I know she was kind of meant to be, and there was another one, and for the life of me, I can't even remember her name, but like she ended up kind of siding with Scorpius in the Peacekeeper Wars.
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Fuck, yeah, the name escapes me, but it's like with her, she was just really bland, and I feel like they never knew what to do with her character.
It is
an odd one.
An inconsistent show overall. You get some really good episodes, and then you get some ones that are like, well, that was skippable.
Yeah, for sure. It really hit its stride in season 3. Like, for me, that was like peak Farscape. I think season 4 really kind of went off the rails. I don't know if they had problems with the writing team or something, but it was just all over the place. Like, totally.
No, I think you're right. Yeah. I'm quite fond of season 1, though. You know, like Dargo and Aaron kind of hate each other at first, obviously, and then I think there's an episode where it's those like creatures that have those little suits that shoot. They're like injectors that give them power / defenses and stuff, and at the beginning he, like, because she's a peacekeeper, says that she's like cowardly in how they approach and fight and stuff, and she's pissed off and she calls him a barbarian because Luxons are just like angry assholes. And then when he gets injured, and we find out that the way that Luxons work is you've got to basically abuse the wound until it comes out clear-blooded instead of...
Yeah, you got to punch it.
Yeah, and so she's punching it and it's not working. And then he says, "You just give up. It's not going to work." And then she says, "Now who's the coward?" And then he says, "You got to hit me a hell of a lot harder if you want it to work, barbarian." Like they switched them up. I was just like,
Yeah.
"That's fun. That's cool."
Yep.
And it's a good way to bind them a little bit better. And it's just loads of stuff like that where I'm just like, this is a comfy show.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Anyway, we should probably do some more questions.
Yes.
Sabine's Cheshire Cat says, Drinker, grab Dank for a happy hour on the K-thriller I Saw the Devil. You'll be scared for life, or scarred for life, but that's what whiskey is for. I Saw the Devil. Nice.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, though.
Roger Rubio says, thanks, you guys, for helping me get through the work shift. Thank you, man. We do our best. Michael Kravitz says, man, Smokey's had some pretty heavy takes on these topics lately. Evening, lads. Hope you're doing well.
This is why he has to take breaks sometimes from open bars, because just too much.
He pretty much wiped himself out that night, and that's why he's not on the stream this evening. So, yeah, Douglas got to recuperate.
He hated Ahsoka episode 5, dude.
He really did, yeah. I could sense it. Mr. Nobody says, please consider inviting the YouTuber Johnny Law on Open Bar. He's hilarious, an excellent critic, and a Brit. He'd be an excellent addition. Okay. Johnny Law.
Not familiar, but fair enough.
Yeah. I'm just going to write that down because I keep getting these recommendations, right? And then I was saying this to Mauler, like we got one for like a couple of different YouTubers, and you seem to be familiar with them. And then afterwards, I asked you like, which ones did they recommend to us again? And you're like, I can't fucking remember. Like, God damn it! Like, okay, I'll just get old school and I'll write them down. Istari Azul says, I just discovered that Ava DuVernay and Nia DaCosta are different people. Are they? Are we sure? Or am I just racist? They are different people, in fact, yes. Derek says, I went backpacking in Scotland a long time ago. Everyone was super friendly, except a middle-aged woman with a face plastered in makeup who came up to me while I was reading a map and said, need help, mate? Call the AA. Well, that's the kind of place that Scotland is, I guess.
All right.
What's that? Zitra Statnis says, here's to the Drinker for being a decent human being on the last stream, caring for that down on his luck guy. I guess if more people cared about other human beings, the world would be a better place. No, thank you very much. And yeah, I'm glad that all had a good outcome. Not what you expect to hear from people on something like this, but glad we could help out a little bit. Just Nick says, what do you guys think about the Aquaman 2 trailer? Nothing. It's like 3 minutes of absolutely nothing.
It's that meme from Simpsons. The stop, he's already dead.
Yeah.
That's the DC universe.
I just, I wonder if it's even going to be worth like reviewing it. Like, will people even care at that point enough to, to even get involved? It's going to be touch and go.
Makes $5 billion.
You never know.
This
is hilarious if it turned out to be like the most successful superhero movie of all time. For absolutely no reason, people just flock to see Aquaman 2.
Even the director's just like, I don't know why. I don't know why people like this so much. I don't know what's going on.
Why are you watching this movie? This is Kyle says, gather up all the brood. It's time to ship out Drinker's Brew. Critics, we eternally challenging Disney. Someone got this One Piece reference, and I appreciate you for it. Nice one. Rosie McRose says, Drinker, you need to watch Deadwood and Justified. They feel like shows made for you. Also, hi Mauler, are you a fan of Primus?
Hello, and I don't think I know what that is. Doesn't sound familiar to me.
As far as Deadwood goes, I did dip in and out of that. I quite enjoyed it back in the day. Ian McShane was just superb. Jalal says, One Piece online fandom has already been in shambles for the past few months due to Hassan's SJWs infesting it. Afraid this LA will only make it worse, this live action. What, has he got like some army of them at his disposal that he can just deploy? Or
is it like just more and more people getting into it and discovering things that are less than preferable in terms of, I don't know, like jokes in the show or something?
Yeah, I can kind of imagine that. Yep. Casey Boyd says, funny Mauler calls One Piece a normal story because it's heavily influenced by Western storytelling. Oda loved Wizard of Oz and old Western tunes, so Mauler is kind of on point with this one.
I'm
There you go,
telling you,
Molly.
when I was watching it, it was so normal the way everything was set up. Like, you know how when Zorro gets tied up,
Yeah.
if anyone who's seen any story ever is like, so Luffy's going to bump into him and he's going to let him go, and then it's going to give him reason to be like, this Luffy guy's not so bad, and that's not being critical of it at all. Everything was set up to go that way. It's just like, yep, that's what'll happen. It's going to make them come together as a team.
Yeah. They get a nice. They get a nice bit of bonding as well in episode 6, I think it is, when Zoro's been injured and like it's the whole episode basically he's in a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a nice sort of way of tying that up, I suppose. Slayer96 DA second says, "When I get high, I'll make Goody Bud Weed comedy." Okay, good. Good luck to you, man. Jeremy David says, "The ruthless overconfidence is endearing." Yeah, Luffy is just such a likable character. Like a lot of it's the actor's really good, the writing for him is really good, and yeah, it just feels like the kind of character that they would absolutely never write for a Western, story. It's only because he's just based on this manga character that they got him so likable. Trent Roberts says, "Will you invite Robot Head for the Ahsoka finale?" Well, I was actually just talking to him on Twitter. Or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, just a couple of days ago. So he's up for coming on Open Bar. So maybe we'll see him on. High Def 10 says, "What do you think about Prey and how does it compare to the original?" I mean, I've done an entire review on it, so you could probably watch that.
Do they mean the game?
I don't know. I assume they mean
they said
Prey,
the original,
the movie.
Well, when they say the original, I assume they mean because Prey 2016, I think, was a remake of the old classic Prey, the game. I assume that's what they're talking about rather than the movie. Unless they mean Prey and Predator.
That's kind of what I assumed. Just because I don't think we were talking about video games at that point in the the live stream. Unless this person just went off.
They ask questions that could be anything. Sometimes they'll be like, "Who's the president?" And me and you'll be like, "I don't know."
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're capable of answering this one, you can tell them how you feel about Prey versus the original.
Oh, I haven't played the original or the remake, so.
Well, then in that case, you can't tell them. So I'm going to hope that they were talking about the film instead. In which case, I can say that, I thought Prey was better than I expected from the trailer. It was a serviceable enough story, I guess. I think the more we talked about it, the more problems we kind of found with it. But could have been worse overall.
The big thing for me, I'll remember forever, is that when I saw a Predator, slice apart a bear and lift it above himself, and the blood revealed him under his cloak, I was just like, my God, like this is. I've wanted to see a Predator be badass for so long.
Was a bit retarded that he killed himself with his own weapon, but
yeah, that kind of undercuts the badassness, doesn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, as for how does it compare to the original, it's not a patch on it.
No, Predator is one of the best films of all time. So,
Jay Fraser says, "All hail the Iron Age. Island in the Stars by Tom Conkle is live on Indiegogo. Pirates of the Caribbean meets original Star Wars in a sci-fi steampunk adventure film starring Vernon Wells." Vernon Wells, that's Bennett from Commando. Brilliant. I need to see more movies with him in it. But so a fan, I guess it's a fan-funded movie, kind of like what I'm doing. So good stuff. There is Island in the Stars, it's called. Joe Hoffman says, "Please review Boredom, The Price of Death." I know nothing about that, I'm afraid. Danny Grover says, "Hi, Drinker, do you have an email address? I need to contact you about something and couldn't find any contact info online. Thanks." Yeah, I do. Like, it's literally on my YouTube page. There's an email there. So just
there you go.
Go to the About section on my YouTube channel, and there it is. Alex's channel says, "The Sanji and Zeph origin scene was a great improvement from the manga and the anime. It was performed greatly by Zeph's actor, Craig Fairbrass." Yeah, man. Eating your own leg. That's quite an extreme measure, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he did a good job. And yeah, that actor, I haven't seen him in anything in like 20 years. Yeah, it must be in 20 years now, but was that?
You said you haven't seen him in 20 years? Like you've seen him 20 years ago? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he's a Brit actor. He was in things like, what was that one with Sylvester Stallone? Cliffhanger, right? He was in that. So that's like 30 years ago. And he was, he didn't look old in that, but he was definitely like not a kid anymore. And I'm sure he was in like things like EastEnders for years and years. Like he was just like a British TV actor for the most part. And yeah, he shows up in this. It's always weird when someone like that just shows up randomly in a show that you would never expect them in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Fons says, One Piece is my favorite series ever, and outside of some questionable narrative choices, I really like this adaptation, and I'm glad to see that everyone's enjoying it so much. Thank you. And yeah, it was nice to be just enjoying something and like getting to be positive about a TV show for a change. It feels like we haven't had many opportunities recently. Psycho Stumpy says, as a fan of the series, I love that they played the tune from the anime opening for the first time when they set sail on the Going Merry. Nice. Yeah, I suppose that's a nice little detail, that.
Yeah.
Bloke with superpowers says, from Daisy and I, we're staying, but still love your content. Please tell us to go away now. Okay, go away now. The Icelandic Filipino says, we need more Chato in our life streams. Yeah, Paul was great to have on. He was a good guest. Reed Fox Media says, howdy y'all, long time lurker, first time chats. I wanted to say thanks for all the entertainment. I finally got myself together and finished my bachelor's degree in software development. Has anyone heard about the Unity now charging per install? Don't know about that, but congratulations on getting your bachelor's degree. Well done, man. And yeah, best of luck to you. I don't know anything about Unity, though, I'm afraid. I don't know if you do, Mauler.
Not familiar enough, I'm afraid, no.
All right. Japanese Demon Lord says One Piece Season 2 was just confirmed to be happening less than 10 minutes ago. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
When they announce that it's more successful than like Stranger Things Wednesday and like Squid Game and stuff, it's like, it'll get a Season 2. It's not gonna, if they're going to renew anything, it'll be that.
Barry Shitpeas says, hey up, drinker, loved One Piece. It's the first live-action adaptation that felt like an anime. The cast were excellent too. Agreed on all points. Ben Patterson says, I really liked Luffy, both the character and the actor. Yep, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Kal-El says, the thumbnail for this stream looks like a cover band version of Pale Shelter from Tears for Fears. There's interesting outfits there. Mass says, I was shocked hearing the writers, producers, and cast of One Piece mostly talk about the characters, the story, the source material, and its themes before the show dropped, and they delivered good. Yeah, I think we mentioned that on stream as well. It's like they didn't feel the need to give their opinions on current day political events or anything. They just kind of talked about the work they've done.
Imagine talking about the characters or the story. That'd be crazy.
I know. Citizen 7 says, Drinker, do you keep your open bar shows archived on a third channel that I'm not aware of? I'd love to go back and watch some of the full shows that I've missed. No, we keep them all on the second channel, which is Critical Drinker After Hours. It's an amazing number of people who don't know about this.
They're like, well, that would sound like that he was subscribed to it, but he hasn't seen any of the open bar uploads, which would be weird.
So the way we do it normally is like, I'll we do the stream on a Thursday night, and then I'll usually take some clips that are like, particularly interesting or whatever, or relevant to what we did, put them up over the next day or two, and then post the whole rest of the stream on the Saturday or the Sunday. So that's generally when you'll find them. Michael Lee says, I had a track rescued greyhound for 12 years, the sweetest creatures on earth. Track owners mistreat them terribly. Wish I could get my hands on those cowards. Just got my plushie. Great job, Drinker and Doggos. Thank you, man. And it's they have a bit of a tough life when they're racers, but it's nice when they can get rehomed and they get a second chance. So yeah, good stuff. Crit Nature says, hey guys, curious what you think about the movie Ironclad. That's a pained laugh from Mauler and
I will say, there's movies for EFAP movies that are amazing, and then there are ones that are awful, and that has nothing to do with how good or bad they are. Like, like how good a film is doesn't determine at all how entertaining it is to be to. What I'm getting at is that we did Ironclad for EFAP movies, and that film was shit.
Well, do you want me to read the rest of their message?
Oh no!
Sorry. In my opinion, one of the best modern middle-aged films. The story is simple, but the movie still keeps you on the edge of your seat. Mauler definitely recommended.
No.
Oh dear. Yeah, like as Mauler pointed out there, for having a movie to do on EFAP movies, where we can just banter and make funny observations about whatever's on screen. Not a huge amount to draw on there. It's pretty...
More just trying to banter about random shit and stuff. But I feel bad now. Well, you'll see that approximately November of next year. So prepare until then.
Mark that in your diaries. Yeah. Daniel Todd says, my only problem is that they toned down Garp a lot in the live action. Toned him down, Jesus. Jay Fraser says, hail gents, Drinker, I recommend the Renaissance Nerd as a possible open bar guest. He's entertaining and knowledgeable with a unique voice about Star Wars, Expanded Universe, One Piece, Farscape, and many more fandoms. Sounds like a possibility then. I want to make a note of his one as well. Renaissance Nerd. All right,
so is it Renaissance or Renaissance?
I say Renaissance. But
well,
Renaissance is more of an American pronunciation, isn't it?
No idea.
Oh, I'm going to do it my
I'm not
way.
cultured.
Well, you're Welsh. Anime Problem says, I love the fact that they kept in Zoo's lack of direction, like he would get lost walking in a straight line, and they still play it straight. What's that a reference to?
Did you say Sue?
Zoo.
I'm not sure. I might be missing something obvious here.
I'll go on here. SBZ says, Drinker, will you review Equalizer 3? Kind of feel bad for it because it seems like it got washed by the One Piece tide, even though it's a solid movie. Denzel Washington is the last true movie star. Yeah, it seems to have really flopped, that one. No one seems to be interested in it. Bit of an odd one. I'm up for watching it, but yeah, it just seems like no one cares. Highlander says, hey Drinker, just finished watching One Piece on your recommendation. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Keep the recommendations coming. Great show. It just makes me happy that people that just watched it on our recommendation and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Hope that happens.
Yeah. Danny Grover says, my only issue with the show is some of the line delivery is a little too serious for my liking, and some of the CG effects, hopefully they get a bigger budget for season 2. Yeah, I mean, it was quite a hefty budget for this one, wasn't it, though?
I imagine so. I don't know.
This was in like the 100 million range or something, I'm sure.
I think, because I said some of the lines are too serious, I think I'm possibly in the opposite camp. I wish there was a bit more treating things as serious instead of leaving the door open for funny. Unless I'm misreading it. There was some deliveries where I was like, ooh, that feels a little bit inappropriate. Are we doing serious right now? Have you seen the whole season, by the way?
Well, one more to go. So, but yeah, it does get more serious, particularly in the later episodes. And yeah, I felt the balance was all right for me. Like I didn't feel like it needed to lighten up or anything as such.
I think that it might be an anime thing, but some of the dialogue is not my kind of jam. Where people say exactly what they mean. Like there's no room for misunderstanding them.
Yeah,
which I struggle with. I way prefer, dare I say, more realistic dialogue and more for me to sort of pass out from scenes.
Yeah, no, I can get you there. I think, like you say, this is just taking the style of anime and manga and just porting it over directly. So it's going to seem jarring for us, I suppose. Vimarain says, hello, Drinker and panel. I got to say thanks for this recommendation of One Piece, as I did not really like the anime. Tried 6 seasons of it, but I'll give live action a go. By the way, Smokey looks very cute today. Thank you. And yeah, damn, you tried 6 seasons of it and you still weren't getting into it after that. I mean, I respect your dedication, I suppose. Cosmic Zombie says, the worst part of Ahsoka is that we knew it eventually leads to The Force Awakens. At least Star Wars shows set in other time periods can build towards events that we love, i.e. Andor. Yeah, that's one of the many reasons that we're not loving Ahsoka. Bottlebound Rogue says, I've been reading One Piece for over 20 years and it still blows my mind at how well crafted the series is. I'm glad the joy of the manga carried over into the show. It's supposed to make you smile. Yeah, and it does very much so. Mission accomplished there. Just Call Me That Guy says, One Piece is my all-time favorite story. I love that you're enjoying it. See, we do get to enjoy things occasionally. We don't hate on
Liar.
Yeah, we're just pretending. Giles Lloyd says, Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring Extended Edition at the local cinema tomorrow. Going to be a good night. That's it. That's one of the advantages of all this. Like, you know, these classic movies getting re-shown. It seems like win-win as well, because it's like for the studios, they get more money for something that came out like 20 years ago.
I think the idea they just don't understand it. They're like, I guess people still like this.
It's crazy, yeah. Big Doc says, I thought it was interesting that an obvious girl was being called a boy. What did it have to do with the plot? Did some research and I'm cancelled. Yeah, I think the actor is trans. Am I right?
Who
that
now?
one? I mean, yeah, I guess it's not really something I thought about too much watching it. It was just like that's the character right there, and like, once you sort of get a feel for what that sort of person, like what the character is and where they're at, it's like I just kind of went with it. Rodolfo Lopez says, to the shores of Tripoli, One Piece oddly brings back lovely memories from my time in the Marines. Semper Fi, gentlemen. Thank you very much. The Ordinary Movie Guy says, showed my dad the first episode of One Piece last night. He doesn't like anime, but his reaction was, it's different, but it's really good. Well, that's pretty good. That's the litmus test right there. If you've got someone who knows fuck all about anime and they can still enjoy it. Ghost in the Craig says, cheers, everyone. Cheers to you, Ghost. Joel Reis says, the sword fight between Zoro and Kuina. I never know how to say his character name. Kuina. Or her
Good
character,
enough.
sorry. As children was better than any lightsaber fight in any of the Star Wars shows so far. How embarrassing. Indeed.
How dare you?
Jill, yeah, you didn't like Ahsoka's lightsaber fighting. So
She fought Darth Anakin. It was great.
If you play her fight scenes at like 1.5 speed, then it's way better.
I will say, just for the record, Hayden Christensen, he's just been waiting to keep going on that lightsaber prowess, hasn't he? He's like, just let me do it again. And then poor Ahsoka, who's basically like doing gratty mode. It's like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, you never quite know with actors, I suppose. Like, you know, some people just don't pick up fight choreography. Like, it's just not in them. You know, like some people have just got natural rhythm, like they can dance or they can fucking juggle or something. And like other people just can't pick it up no matter what. Like maybe that's just what she's like. Rosario Dawson just doesn't know how to fight.
Been editing a lot of visuals from it recently, and big thing I noticed between the two of them is that, I know this sounds a bit pretentious, but the blade seems like an extension of Anakin, while with Rosario it looks like she's awkwardly holding something.
Yeah.
He flows it really well, and obviously they had like extensive training, and it's just like, oh, it's so much more convincing.
Yeah. It probably wasn't even intentional on his part either. It's like, I'm not setting out to make her look shit, but like, if
I just didn't forget what they taught me like 20 years ago. So
yeah, that's what I mentioned on Thursday. Like, it's so galling that like he's back and he's clearly invested in doing this, and he's clearly not missed a beat in terms of like the sword fighting and the physical aspects of it. But you're giving him fuck all to work with, man. You're just you're not using him. Jalal says, Paul, anime is slow paced, manga is not. Well, there you go.
Okay.
Garrett Hayden says, I had my reservations, yet I couldn't help but get caught up in the tide of positivity, and Mahler's words finally tipped me over the edge to go and see One Piece. Now I want to go to see it and support the original and buy all the manga. Thank you, you massives.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Garrett. Tim Weber says, I enjoyed the fuck out of Arcane. The music fit very well. That bridge fight was emotional as hell, and it portrayed their history very well. It did indeed.
The Jinx and Echo fight is absolutely amazing. It's like one of my favorite scenes in anything.
Yep. Because it's intercut with their like memories of their childhood sparring and fighting and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you got a heavy history there. And then when Echo does beat her, it's pretty hard for him to actually finish her off, obviously.
Yeah.
And then she just lets the grenade go.
Yep. Next one is Alistair Crumb, who says, please invite my boy, the almighty Lolly, on the stream. He does great reviews that you might find interesting and covers some culture stuff. P.S. Please make a Streamlabs so I can donate through other means. Okay. Why is there a problem with YouTube?
Don't know.
Because it is possible to donate through Streamlabs, isn't it? Or some other means, but yeah. Well, we've got channel memberships now as well that we launched, so there's a range of options, I suppose, if you're looking to donate. But yeah, thank you for that. Joshua Henderson says the only difference between One Piece and Ahsoka is Star Wars no longer has its creator, where One Piece still does.
What do you mean? We've still got Filoni. He was personally trained by George Lucas.
The Anointed One. I'm going to save us all. Benjamin Todd says, a tip for your whiskey collection. As someone who's read the metric ton of material from One Piece, I can say the show is for me, but there's definitely spirit there. I highly recommend reading it. Thank you very much, man. Jesse George says, thanks for all your awesome videos. They make me laugh. Please bring back Happy Hour. Well, I'm probably going to do that in October and just do some horror movies. I got a few plans in the works, so yeah, try and do them in between open bars, because I do kind of miss them. They are good. Just Dutch says, One Piece anime is good overall, but some story arcs are phenomenal. Do yourselves a favor and watch Marineford Battle over Ace. Peak story. All right, cool. Sounds good stuff. Thomas Pickett says, 5 years old, Comrade Detective. Check out the trailer. Great jokes on communism and capitalism from a communist point of view from the 80s. All right, Comrade Detective.
All right.
Rene Guy says, live-action Naruto is being developed by Lionsgate, and the screenwriter for the Witcher show is involved. Fuck my life.
Oh, well.
How are these people still getting jobs? Dixon Butts says, FMK, Star Wars, Star Trek, and Stargate. I know it's kind of hard to imagine marrying a show, but sure, I'll go along with it. Now, are we talking peak or like what they are now? Because
surely it probably is like what they are now, because that plays into the question of marrying them, doesn't it? Because it's like, what are you going to get from them if you marry them?
I'd marry Stargate, because
I was going to say I might marry Stargate, because I'm pretty sure they're not making any more Stargate, are they?
No, it's the only one that's not been completely tarnished. Probably kill Star Wars to put it out of its misery.
It really does require that at this point.
And yeah, Star Trek, it would be an angry fuck, I think. What we'd have
Who
to
do you
do there.
think's in a healthier position right now, the MCU or Star Wars?
The MCU.
Yeah,
I mean, on the basis that they're actually still making movies for it, like Star Wars.
I was thinking that's true, but I was actually thinking I think there's more goodwill right now for Star Wars than there is for Marvel. Even though there shouldn't be.
there really shouldn't. Like, you can feel the shift, can't you? Over this past year.
You know, Ahsoka episode 5, right? A lot of people who love TLJ hate that episode, because they're the people who want to see, you know, the deconstructions, and they want to see every character ran through with all kinds of horrifying arcs, whatever. They don't want to see Vader showing up any more than I do in terms of like shallow, meaningless stuff. But then, you know, a lot of people are saying like the prequel lovers will love Ahsoka, that sort of fandom. Star Wars is made up of so many pockets of fans that like they're all sort of, you know, there's different amounts of love and hate for different things come out. The MCU though, like who the fuck liked Quantumania? Yeah. Nobody. Nobody's gonna like the Marvels.
Some people liked Guardians 3.
But everyone saw it as a James Gunn film, not an MCU film, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it just feels like a kind of hollow shell now, the MCU. It's like some of the movies still attract it. Yeah, they attract attention still, but like there's no real connection to it anymore. You know, it's just a bunch of stuff that happens on screen and no one really cares. So yeah, maybe in some sense, like people are still, I don't know, they still seem to feel something for Star Wars. I mean, it's mostly contempt in our case, but there's something there, I guess. But yeah, it's bizarre because like financially, it's got to be in a ruinous position because they haven't made a movie in like 4 years, and all you got is a bunch
TV shows can't be making up for it at all.
No, it's no longer a cultural force. Put it that way. It's just content.
Cultural force, huh?
I didn't mean to do that, but I'll own it. I'm just going to leave now. Samurai D. Phil says, One Piece is my favorite anime, and the community was worried that it might be bad, but I agree with Mauler. It's crazy to think that the most normal written thing on TV right now would probably get bashed because it's so normal. Pretty much, yeah.
It's everything comes in waves, I think, and there's a time for subversive and deconstructive stuff, but good God, I think there's a huge market for normal.
Yep. Well done, normal. Snex says, ever think of giving an open bar invite to internet historian? Yeah, I'd fucking love to talk to him, but like he's kind of a big deal, and I think he's quite a busy guy, so I'm not sure if he'd be up for this. But yeah, he's welcome on open bar anytime. Tim Weber says Brock is the only anime character that is Japanese. That's interesting. Elias Iosifidis says, I demand a drinker recommends of the usual suspects. Well, I mean, you can demand it. I don't know if I can provide it right now. Samurai Phil says, Long man, don't run from this. OP is the what's that? The Game of Thrones of anime. You should watch it. I assume you mean One Piece. So you should watch the anime, basically.
It's just the thing is, what I hear a collection of is it's incredibly long. Lots of it isn't like the substantive stuff. A lot of it is just sort of, I hesitate to use the word filler, and much slower. When I brought that up on the stream, I saw a couple people being like, "It's not slow," and it's like, all right, fine. But I think if I'm going to test out animes, I'm going to be going for something like Death Note or something that's smaller and still has a good reputation, because One Piece, as far as I know, is enormous.
Yeah. Emperor Soft Turtle says, the production studio said Cowboy Bebop lessons learned. I think us doing our own thing was a mistake. Yes, I think what they're trying to say there is, going off in your own direction and trying to put your own stamp on it is a bad idea. Just respect the source material, in which case, yes, it's crazy, but it works.
I think they're probably not going to actually learn anything, though, right? Like, that's the concern.
I mean, like it's getting big numbers. I think like it's getting a lot of attention, and so you'd think, well, okay, that was really popular and successful. We want to have more popular and successful things. But what was good about that? Well, we listened to the guy who wrote it. We respected the source material, and look what happened.
There's going to be a fly on the wall for that discussion. If they're just like, is it just the fact that it's an adaptation of anime? Adapt more. Go. Doesn't matter if it's faithful. Or do they have some guy say like, sir, I think it's because it's faithful?
Yeah. Beard again says, Oda picked Luffy because he made him laugh. Rightly so. Skits 3D says, fishmen are 10 times stronger than a normal human, by the way. Well, yeah, they seem to be able to punch people right across the room and stuff, so yeah. Thomas Pickett says, there's only one Taskmaster, Greg Davies.
All right.
But is there more than one ass blaster? That's what I want to know. Cassius Victus says, I've been a fan of One Piece for almost 20 years, and it's so refreshing to hear people discuss it like this. I think we read this out the other night. Comparing it to various other stories is an avenue that I've yet to hear about when discussing the series, and I love it. Thank you. Matthias Newium says, hail the fellowship. Greetings from Poland. Sapkowski took CD Projekt Red to court in 2021 for extra money, and they settled with outside the courtroom. Well, that's good then, at least. So you got something good out of it. Because I think the way Paul phrased it is like, no, they offered him money and he said no, and then they offered him more later and he said yes. But yeah, maybe he actually did. But yeah, I know he had a history of like just making really shitty business deals and like selling the video game rights for practically nothing. And suddenly you've got this massively successful series that he could have made a shit ton of money out of. Excuse me. Bottle-bound Rogue says, when Oda was asked why he draws ladies the way he does, he simply replied, that is what he likes. You'd never get that from the MCU these days.
Could you imagine Eddie Creative these days saying, I draw women the way I like women? Holy shit.
Yeah. It's like, hey, it's okay to make them look hot, It's like, we don't mind. Yeah. The MCU is doing everything in their power to just turn them into skinny-looking men, by the sounds of things. Todd Howard with a gun says, I think Chato and Gary are right. I know the type they're talking about. Talentless people who never get criticized in school, who graduate through MFA programs and inevitably end up in places like Hollywood. Yep, and look at the results. Alex Barada Media says, Hi, Drinker, a podcast episode with Jordan Peterson? Yeah, sure, because, he's always bothering me. Joe Rogan, I'll just bring him on because I can do that. Yeah, I mean, these guys are like, they swim in different circles from me. Like, there's levels to this stuff.
I would love to hear a passionate rant from Jordan Peterson about Ahsoka, though.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, as interesting as the guy undoubtedly is, like, I just don't know what we could possibly discuss with him, like, in terms of pop culture and media and geeky stuff. Like, it just feels like his brain's on a different sort of planet.
Imagine you did have like him and Joe Rogan and both Trump and Biden on Open Bar, and we all actually did talk about Ahsoka for an hour, and that was it. It was wild internet thing.
I feel like the chat would just lose their minds. Like,
the whole world would lose their minds.
Oh man, could be good. Cassius Victus says, if you want to know why Oda is so protective of his IP, you should take a closer look at the 4Kids dub of the One Piece anime. It's a disaster. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Well, he's got to be aware of bad adaptations as well, right, Oda? He's going to know about that. He's going to know what they did to Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's it. F.O. Cornali says, Nami's arc is what convinces people to continue One Piece. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the... This is what I mean about the structure. Is so fascinating to me. You get Luffy in episode 1, pretty much. There's no mystery to him. You fully understand the character pretty much. Zoro, you get fully pretty much by episode 3, and then you get a bit of bonus by the time you hit the end. With her, it's basically the end of the show. You have to wait to get her full story.
Yeah,
and that's just a really good way to do it in terms of pacing out different reveals and getting more sort of flesh and all the characters at different times.
Yeah, so.
We like a bit of mystery, right? We like it when, for example, he's like, I'm a pirate, and then she grabs him and she's like, I fucking hate pirates. It's like, okay, what's that about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there should always be something to keep you digging for more and keep the narrative moving forwards. Obviously, you can have external mysteries, but like to have characters that you don't fully understand.
Well, I hate to say this, but it's what JJ talks about, but he just doesn't have the other half. Because he's right, a lot of people love mystery, but he doesn't answer the questions, which is the problem. He doesn't bother with that part.
Fucking mystery box.
So, like, any show, if you just have a character that's got a bag and no one's allowed to look at it, everyone's just like, what's in the bag?
Yeah.
Tell them the fucking bag.
Larry Escher says, the other day, I looked all the way down Google News and there wasn't a single story about the SAG-AFTRA strike. It's almost as if no one cares. Yeah, that ship's kind of sailed now, hasn't it? Like, people have just
How long have they been going now?
Well, the writers have been on strike for about like 3-4 months now. It was all the way back in like May that they started.
Still waiting to get their terms met, I guess.
Yeah, I can see this dragging on until next year. And I think they're the ones that are going to cave, ultimately. I think they'll run out of money way before the studios do. In which case, like, yeah, they're going to have no option but to capitulate.
Well, and it's like a house of cards with the scabs, quote unquote, right? Like there'll be one person, then another, then another, then another, and then everybody will crumble.
Yeah. Well, look what happened to Drew Barrymore. She tried to start her show up again and like got dogpiled to the extent where she had to be like, oh, I've taken the decision to pause the premiere again.
I was curious about that because it's like having your show at all is a sign of like anti-solidarity, I guess, even if there's no writers necessarily.
Yes.
I guess so. But yeah, she, I guess, didn't see that coming in terms of the backlash. I know Bill Maher's got it as well, right? He's trying to start back up. So yeah, I don't know. Just for every day, there'll be more and more shows starting back up. Yeah,
do you think it'll just be a sort of trickle that will eventually turn into a flood, and
everything will be normal again?
They'll almost like the strike will just kind of unofficially end.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. And then, like, well, okay, if that's like, yeah. So if people are kind of back and working again, but like the strike's still officially going, like, where do they even go from there? Like, how does that even function?
It
No
doesn't
idea.
matter if when maybe when you're a part of the strike and loads of people there, like Bryan Cranston or whoever else who are just bazillionaires, and you're like, I don't know if I can stay in my apartment until next week, and I don't know what I'm eating tonight.
Yeah,
It's really difficult to remain on strike at that point.
yeah, well,
It's just
100%. I
reality of it
mean,
all.
yeah, because it used to, like, this is what unions used to do. Like, they would have stockpiles of money there for a big strike, and it's like, well, they can start to pay that out to their members to
Mhm.
sustain them during it. They clearly haven't got that, and I don't get the feeling that these, like, the big successful actors are gonna like start donating their own cash to
That's
help
kind of the
other
part that I
people.
find fascinating. I wonder if there isn't more effort to be like, hey, because I know The Rock, didn't he donate like a groundbreaking sort of or record breaking amount of money? You would have thought all celebrities were expected to donate at least like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but at least $1 million. A lot of the bigger ones,
Yeah,
something like that. And they do their speeches. You just wonder if there's a heckler like, why are you helping? It's like,
yeah.
I am helping. Damn you.
Well, the thing is, as well, like when you see the big actors like on the picket lines, they're probably there for like an hour. Like they'll get brought in
You
like
do
by
wonder.
car. Yeah, they'll be there for a photo op, like give a little speech or something, and then fuck off back to their mansions.
Hmm.
And it's like, meanwhile, it's just like, yeah, you guys are the real heroes, just like the people who haven't eaten in 2 days and stuff. Jesus. The sorry, through the wormhole says the character writing in One Piece is such a raw example of how Japanese culture and anime has miraculously managed to spread across the entire world in spite of no one else speaking their language. Well, I mean, once you you know once you get it translated into English, you get the sense of who the characters are, and you can definitely tell that it's a different style from how we do it over here, but it works. So I ain't got a problem with it.
Hmm.
Uh, Jacopo Ortolani says, "Hail Drinker, ever considered inviting Neon and Geeky Sparkles on the stream? They're a good laugh." I don't know. I've never heard of them.
Neither have I.
Are they good? Make
Who
us
knows?
laugh. Skits 3D says, "I left Star Wars for my love of One Piece." Good choice. Christapa Video says, "I hope One Piece breaks the mold and we're going to see more anime and manga shows. Something needs to replace the dying Marvel DC movies." I definitely agree on that. And I think, yeah, we probably are going to see more of these kinds of shows. Like Moore said earlier, I just hope they learned the correct lessons from the success of this. And it's not
Yeah,
just, we need more of it. Like, no,
because
you
we
need it
learned
done right.
catastrophically wrong lessons from No Way Home with multiverse, right?
Oh, God, yeah. Multiverses. I think
Mm-hmm.
more than anything, that's hastened the demise of the MCU, like, so badly.
Yeah.
Rob Sanderson says, "Real Star Wars fans have been conditioned to not like Star Wars anymore." That's true. At least the original Star Wars, like, yeah, enjoy the sludge. IO says, "Star Wars has been reduced to exhuming corpses to give them a good munging. One lasting dignity for the road." That's what it feels like. Abscon2 says, "Sup, dudes? What's up with you, sir? Thank you." Drifter says, "I know it seems daunting to even consider taking a look at the anime, but it's well north of 1,000 episodes. But there's a solution: One Pace, a fan recut to manga pacing, removing the annoying anime repetition and fluff." Well, that's an interesting idea. Then someone's re-edited it. That's pretty cool. Party CV says, "Oh no, episode 5 activated Mauler's tism. God help them."
Oh, for Ahsoka? Yes, it did. You have no idea how much it did. You
So
may
much
know by
tism.
now, though, when you hear this.
Oh yeah. The Angry Badger says, "Of course this is all happening in your head, Harry. Why should that mean that it isn't real? It was in her head, but it was real." Fuck that. Fuck this shit.
What?
Ahsoka, she imagined all of this stuff in her head, but it's also real at the same time because Dave Filoni, I guess.
Dude, the amount of people who think they know what like the answer is, like, oh, it's actually this, it's there, and Anakin. I saw a post saying like what confirms it is Anakin's Force Ghost is the fact that he references Luke saying he didn't want to fight him, and there's no way Ahsoka could know that. And I was like, well, why? She spoke to Luke. he could have told her that.
Yep.
What the hell?
Headcanon.
Yeah.
Cial says, One Piece is an interesting case with world building. Not perfect, but impressive considering it's one guy releasing weekly compared to a Star Wars budget. Yes. Center Negative says, I'm confused by the outrage at Ahsoka having force powers as a thing that anyone can learn. I recall the fan outrage at the intro of midichlorians because it made the Jedi Marvel-type mutants or a hereditary monarchy of Skywalkers. I think the outrage there was just like, you're trying to like scientificize something that's meant to be like a mystical energy field. Like, it's not really something that you're meant to have little microscopic creatures controlling.
Yeah, well, there's so much debate over midichlorians to this day, like whether or not it's a good addition or bad. I mostly just I think isn't it clear that people like it, going back to the OT of just you understand what the force represents, all of life, and that people have an aptitude for understanding, controlling, and using it for good or bad things. Like when they start trying to add shit all the time, and this goes for everything, it just starts getting like, oh fuck, you're toppling all of the Jenga pieces.
It's exactly what they did to the MCU. Like, you had a pretty streamlined, group of characters, a central storyline that was fairly easy to follow. They had well-defined powers initially, and the more shit they add in, the more secret organizations, the more like crazy like sorceress powers and stuff, the more multiversal bullshitty things that they put in. It all just becomes nonsense because like anything could happen at any time because it's so convoluted. And it's the same with the Force. Like you say in the OT, it's like, okay, at low levels you can use it to influence people's minds a little bit if they're weak-willed. You might be able to move an object, and then it's like, holy shit, Yoda can move an entire X-wing by himself, even though it takes a lot of effort. And then like the Emperor can like make lightning come out of his hands. What the fuck? Like, that's when you knew it was really serious. But now it's like, you can take out entire battle fleets with the power of the Force, and just no, fuck off. Have intergalactic Skype calls. It's too much shit.
Yeah.
Amra the Australian says, if only Ahsoka was alone on an island drinking titty milk, her arc may have meant something. It truly would have, but they'll never do that to her. Cannon Folderall says, what timeline is this? Star Wars is a joyless slog, and the show based on the goofy Rubberman cartoon is a huge success. Has someone been flipping switches over at CERN? Cheers. Glares at the Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, I mean, we're living in crazy times. Dull Life Dan says, as a weeb, it's interesting to hear everyone praise live action One Piece as refreshing. For me, it's the storytelling I'm used to and take for granted. It's like watching weary desert travelers rejoice at the oasis that I live in. I want to live there too in that case.
It's not though, but as with that analogy, it is we were familiar with it for a long time in the form of all these other shows that got us into media, and then we've had like this modern infection of there's so many TV shows. A lot of them come from Disney, where there's just like, you guys do not know how to make TV shows. They don't even feel like TV shows in retrospect. They're like little products, like on a shelf. They're like merchandise. Like substantive things. When someone's, suggesting like, oh, did you see Ahsoka, the TV show? I don't know. It just doesn't, it feels like plasticky compared to if you say like, did you watch Buffy? It's like, holy fuck, that's 22 episodes, 7 seasons. That's a huge chunky TV show that has a really long story. And it's like, okay, what about like Farscape, for example? It's like, again, 22, 4 seasons and a movie and a huge story that spans a shit ton of bubble, and it's like, okay, Book of Boba Fett. It's like, oh my god, what even was that? It's just not. It feels like two different things. It like one of them is you don't even think like it's like mini series, I guess, is a name for it, but I don't want to besmirch the name of that either.
Yeah, it's like these older shows, like brimming with ideas and creativity, but like perhaps constrained sometimes by budget and like technical limitations and stuff. Whereas, you get things like the Star Wars shows now, like swimming in money and all the resources they can ask for, but not an ounce of like actual good ideas and creativity behind it. It's just obligatory stuff that has to be done. That's interesting. Cosmic Zombie says, Berserk live action adaptation when? Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Ceteris Paribus says, seriously, if I didn't know Disney wanted to signal the opposite, I'd take the New Republic and Star Wars as anti-democracy propaganda. They are pretty shit, aren't they?
They're pretty shit, yeah.
I don't feel bad about those guys losing.
It just happens to be that whoever's in charge is pretty shit. It's almost like the writers just make everyone pretty shit.
Alex DeGhost says, here's a donation because I like you a lot, but anyone who thinks the latest episode is just member berries is dumb. This has been built up for a while.
No, it hasn't. Nice cope, but
yeah. Yeah, if you think that whole sequence with Anakin had any like valid lessons to teach Ahsoka, I mean, good on you, I suppose. Like, I admire your optimism.
Yeah.
Andrew Honeycutt says the world between worlds is the new multiverse, Spider-Verse, or whatever the fuck ever else kind of universe, time travel, aka more ways to be a lazy writer with no consequences. Exactly.
Yeah, it's. I had a friend ask me why they're doing this world between worlds thing, and I was like, well, why do you think? And then they were like, well, just to give her a lesson she couldn't get otherwise. It's like, no, just have Vader. You can have Vader that way. Yep. It's hard to have Vader otherwise.
The Big Dog says, thanks for all you do, Drinker. I hope the fellow from last week was able to get help. And to that, gentleman, I've been where you are. Your life matters, and I speak for all the bar in saying that we love you. All the best. Thank you, man. And yeah, he's doing better, thankfully. Irish Trash says, Star Wars is now going through the same thing that Marvel and DC Comics have. Writers have lost the ability to create a new story, so now they're just adding powers and poorly retelling earlier stories. That's very much what it feels like. Hellrats says, when a space whale farts at hyperspeed, it doesn't make a sound. In space, no one can hear you fart, I suspect. Abscond2 says, and this is for $100, so thanks, man. They already remade A New Hope with Force Awakens. So many parallels. Oh, yeah, I remember this from the other night. Yeah, it was just a lazy rehash of the same ideas, which is really what J.J. Abrams specializes in. Intelligent Crayon Eater says, all I see with Ahsoka is that the fans do more and better writing with their various headcanons than what Lucasfilm and Wannabe Cowboy were paid for. That's so true. Film Fan Man says, I just read that a producer on the Crow reboot is excited to turn it into the next extended universe. Ugh. I think I just died a little inside. That is fucking tragic. Timmy04 says, I saw a comment once that said the twin sun scenes from A New Hope is just to show off how handsome the hero is. What would you guys say to that person? I mean, have you seen Mark Hamill? Like,
well, he was in a car accident though, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, this was pre-accident, so I guess like he was fine, but like I wouldn't have considered him super handsome or anything in A New Hope. He's just a kind of like dorky kid. Really, that's the whole point of what Luke is at that point in his life. So yeah, I think the twin sun scene is excellent because it just really captures that sense of longing and like just he's isolated. He desperately wants to get out into the universe and be involved in something, and he's just trapped in this pretty shitty mundane life. And I think it sums that up perfectly in that scene.
It would be one of my suggestions probably for like most relatable scene in the history of like media, and you're like, whoa, why? It's like, well, for widespread for people, all it is a yearning for something different and better. It's just
everyone's been there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Riley Munt says, Drinker, I've been working on a Heinlein-esque sci-fi novel for a while, but I've got to ask, when is it time to stop researching and just start writing? Right damned now. Yeah, man, you can research on the fly as well. Like, you get to a certain point, you need to find something. Okay, go and find it out, and then carry on writing. Because yeah, you could spend forever trying to get every possible detail and never actually start the book. Like, you got to get to the creative part sooner or later. So my advice is start now. Garrett Hayden says, Addendum, all of you encouraged me to see it, but there was something that Mahler said in particular that convinced me, which also helped me to know exactly how to write my own story. Now I want to see a good example of great character introduction. Well, there you go.
Why would you say it was one thing I said and then not tell me what it was?
You're going to have to... Well, you said it, Mahler, so you should remember everything you said.
I can't do it.
Roger Rubio says, Did you guys get to see The Equalizer 3? If not, you guys see the first two. Overall thoughts on these movies, and what is your favorite pizza toppings? That was a nice little segue there. Wasn't jarring at all. Haven't seen The Equalizer 3 yet, so don't know if it's good or bad. Yeah, apparently it's flopping at the
Neither have
cinema.
I.
So. But yeah, favorite pizza toppings? Pepperoni's a pretty solid one.
Pepperoni is the fave. It's just so good.
I do like ham and mushroom though as well. Quite like that.
I like ham. I'm trying to think of, sauce. I like meats of all kinds going on pizza.
All the meats.
Yes.
The other one thing I don't like on a pizza is chicken. Just never really like that.
You tried tandoori chicken on pizza?
Yeah, I mean that's fine because it's nice and spicy, but like, yeah, just chicken doesn't feel like a meat that belongs on pizza. Matthew Grumman says, Mauler, Joss Whedon wrote a better man broken by the death of what he believed in and his eventual redemption in Firefly's Malcolm Reynolds than Rian Johnson did with Jake Skywalker.
Firefly is brilliant. There's a reason why everyone was obsessed with getting it renewed, but it never got there. And maybe at this point, it's fine that it didn't.
Danny Grover says, Mauler, did you see Cosmonauts Buffy praise?
I did, yes. He covered the body, which is, one of the best Buffy episodes ever, and he had very, very normal things to say about it. I thought it was actually pretty good. I only disagreed with like one or two things he said, but it's hard to be. It's just so it's just an episode that is about reacting to a death of a loved one. There's not much in there to get wrong, so to speak. I thought it was good stuff.
Cool. Jake Hunt says, "How does Morbius compare to Ahsoka so far?" Morbius is looking better and better. Where's he of Ahsoka? It's Ahsoka time. Yeah, man. At least that movie was fun in a goofy way. Tank Musso says, my country's culture wasn't massacred this time. Nice. So yeah, Japanese, they got it right. So good to see, I suppose. James Keane says, Filoni's also obsessed with wolves. Balin Skull and Shinhati are named after wolves from Norse mythology. His pilot character's name, Trapper Wolf.
Yep. Okay. Skull and Hati.
Sure, fair enough. Uber B-Man says, the mythical modern audience are nothing but tourist fans. These IPs are just tacky tourist traps now. That's a pretty good way of looking at it, actually.
You do wonder sometimes.
Is there an invested fan base in any of these things now? Or is it just people who kind of watch it while they're doing something else and then forget about it almost immediately?
When you watch those reaction videos where Anakin shows up and then like there'll be a girl who just cries and goes nuts, yeah. I'm like, how much of that is you and how much of that is you want to give the biggest reaction possible because people like to watch that when it's something they like?
Oh, yeah. Like 90% of these reaction channels will just be acting. Because, like you say, like, they want to see big reactions to things, but yeah. I just don't get it. Like, fair enough if you can pause things and actually like give some thoughts on it, like break it down a little or something, provide some insight. But if it's like literally just you having emotional reactions to stuff and not really saying anything, what the fucking point in that? Stitch says, I think this is my favorite panel on Open Bar. Well done, gentlemen. Oh. Also, hi, Smokey. Excellent. Thanks, man. Yeah, we lost Echo Chamberlain, unfortunately. He messaged me afterwards to say that his internet was fucked. So it's like, well, I'm Scottish. I understand shitty internet. Robust Delirium says, Ahsoka is one of those flashback parasites from Rick and Morty.
True.
Anton Jermakau says, I'm late to the show, but the superior way to get into One Piece anime is to check out One Piece. Yeah, someone else recommended that as well. Dave Sargent says, claiming an ism in this case is just marketing now. Fan baiting, that's what it is. A Cup of Coffee says, Hail Drinker, long-time watcher, first-time chatter. Was just curious if you would be willing to watch the anime Attack on Titan. Cheers. That was for $100. Yeah, it would be. I'm totally up for watching these things. It's just, as Mauler said, a lot of them are pretty extensive in terms of how many episodes or how many movies or whatever have been made from it. And it's like, yeah, you've got to find that time somehow. So it's tricky. Swaniac says, I enjoyed episode 4 of Ahsoka. Episode 5 was back to sludge. Anakin looking like a pale CGI skinwalker. What the fuck did Anakin actually teach her? talking to fucking whales. How does she survive underwater? I hate what Star Wars has become.
I love people don't even know what the fucking lesson was.
No.
Oh,
It's just like Last Jedi with Luke's lessons. Like, they mean absolutely nothing.
Live or die. Why, Anakin? Why?
I choose to live. Got it.
All right, you nailed it. You go now. Wear white clothes.
Yeah, fucking space Jesus. Oh God, I'm gonna get caught up in this rage again. Marla's non-threatening unit says, Mauler, glizzies are on your 6. Get them.
I know that's referencing it. It's funny as fuck, but I won't.
Okay.
I won't force you to have to deal with that.
Okay. You can save that for later. Jacob McQuaid says Star Wars Theory or Den of Nerds would be great guests on this show. They're not woke, but some opinion diversity on Star Wars would make for a fun show. Opposed analysis is the best analysis. Strange news. I don't know what Star Wars Theory's take is on Ahsoka, whether he likes it or not.
He adores Episode 5, as far as I know.
That's a shame. Joshua Lovett says, Drinker, I reconnected with my dad after no contact for 3.5 years. Well, congratulations, man. You and Gary came up, and turns out that he's a fan. It casually came up. That's just crazy. That's pretty cool. You know? Yeah, I'm glad he's a fan and really glad that the two of you reconnected after so long. MW Balls says, The Witcher showrunner can't stop talking about Yennefer. Yen has 3 or 4 viewpoint chapters in 8 books. She's a very important character, but the Witcher saga is not her story. It's Geralt and Ciri's. I know, but as far as the showrunner's concerned, yeah, it's basically hers. I think it's really fascinating, actually, when you get people like that and they really like open up about what their motivation is and what they try to do with shows like The Witcher, and you just kind of realize like they're just telling their own story. Like, this is just a sort of loose framework. The source material, and it's like, well, really, I'm just in business for myself to like tell the story about the characters I care about, and like I like Yennefer, so she's going to be basically the focal point now. It's incredibly narcissistic and really kind of self-serving. It's a weird one. This is one of life's true questions right here. Desoroku says, every time I poo, I have to use so much toilet paper. I wipe and I wipe. There's still poop. I clog the toilet every time. How do I stop this? You need to invest in a bidet, sir.
Bidet, yeah, that's the way.
Yeah. Grand Moff Snarkin says, Aquaman 2 is like every other superhero trailer. We've reached a critical mass of muddy CGI, self-referential trash, and low-stakes plots. We need a movie where the hero loses or experiences true sacrifice. Flip the script. Yes, everything you said there is correct.
I think they know that too, by the way. The people making this Aquaman, they just got to get it out. They got to get it over and done with. Get it out.
Yeah.
It's like when you are feeling really bad from like you've eaten loads of like takeaway and you've had loads of alcohol and you can feel awful and you're like, I need to throw up. I just got to. If I get that done, I can go to sleep. I just got to do it.
Yeah. It's going to be messy for a while, but yeah, it's best in the long run. And it is like this. Like, they knew they were going to take a hit on this movie. How depressing it must be to like work at Warner Brothers this year. Just basically flop after fucking flop.
we used to make movies.
Yeah. Now it's essentially just, I don't know, tax write-offs or something. Disasters. Campbell Patterson says, this year, I've really taken the time to expand my movie palette. I'm now watching noir films, comedies, and psychological thrillers. My favorites have been Team America, Roger Rabbit, and Fight Club. That's nice. It's funny because you're out of sequence there. I was like, noir films, Team America? Really? Comedies, that's it. Bert BB Deemer says, if you are new about anime, watch Redline movie. Okay. Drinner says, Drinker, given the current state of Star Wars, this current streak of Star Wars schlock that has emerged from Disney's anus, how do you explain the anomaly of Andor? I think I can explain it quite easily. It was made before the rest of these TV shows. It was just delayed for ages. And it was made by someone who actually has a bit of competence.
I would
And
argue partly why we're able to get Andor is their reckless approach to control over these systems and projects. The fact that they would have been like, Tony Gilroy, take this money and make us a season that has something to do with the Andor guy, back when Star Wars was at a height. Like, we don't really care, just get it done. And he got it done. And then they were like, all right, put it out. And then they're like, wow, this isn't doing so well. Like, it all is doing, you know what I mean? Like, it was that simple. It's kind of like Netflix. It's like, how does Netflix produce so much shit but also good things? It's like, because they're just shooting in the dark, man. They don't know.
yeah,
And we've said countless times, like, you just need to get lucky with a creator. Someone like an actual artist is provided an opportunity, and then they can make something, as opposed to a hired gun, so to speak. Like, Peyton Reed is always the one I'll go to for that. He's like a director who just makes nothing films. It's like, there you go, a completed film, movie done.
Soulless movie project number 47 complete. Yang Wenli Gang says, should you ever find the time, try Legend of the Galactic Heroes from 1988. Quick summary, the Three Kingdoms, Dune, and Star Wars made into an epic 110 episode anime. Ah, cool. So just 110 episodes to get through. Piece of cake.
Knock it out in a
Hermione
weekend.
the Cat says, One Piece Season 2 confirmed. I'm so excited. Excellent. The Blue Dot says, Drinker, could you do a review of Absence of Malice for all the journalists who have lost their way? What the heck is Absence of Malice?
I don't know.
Hold on a second. Right, from 1981. All right, so it's an American drama neo-noir thriller directed by Sidney Pollack. Right, the title refers to one of the defenses against libel defamation and is used in journalism classes to illustrate the conflict between disclosing damaging personal information and the public's right to know. So it's going to be like a conflict of interest type story, I suppose. Interesting. Where was I on this? Oh, yeah. Casey Boyd says, One Piece is in the top 10 best-selling pieces of literature of all time. It's up there with Shakespeare. It's worth the read. Excellent. R.I.P. Star Wars says, I love the prequels. I would keep the 6 movies and the EU. Everything was perfect until Disney came along. I mean, I think perfect's a bit of a stretch. It was at least somewhat like, unified as a fan base. It felt a bit more cozy, I suppose. It felt like it was still a franchise that people really cared about. I don't feel like that anymore. Daniel Taylor says, Muller, there's a rumor in the Fire and Blood books that Alicent and Daemon slept together before the start of the show. Kind of explains Otto's irrational hatred of him. What are your thoughts?
I don't think his hatred's irrational. I mean, maybe you'd say it's a bit more pronounced than a lot of other characters. When we meet Daemon in the earlier parts of House of Dragon, he does seem to be kind of a crazy man and like reckless and power hungry and obsessed with the Targaryen name and himself. I could totally understand Otto just thinking like, I need to move this guy around until I can get rid of him because he's nothing but a fucking wild card sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if that were a thing that happened as well, yeah, Otto would fucking despise him if that had happened. I don't think they'd make any reference to that in the show, though.
No, not that I'm aware of. Cosmic Zombie says the atomic bomb is about to be surpassed by the newest bomb, the Marvels. Yep. It's going to cap off quite a horrendous year for movies. McTalisker says, had Absinthe once woke up in neighbor's garden in a puddle in nothing but my underpants. It was January. Oof. Nice. Freeman says, have either of you played the Stanley Parable? I have not.
I have. It's very good.
What's it about?
It's a game about games. You play it and it immediately sets you off guard because it's like you're in an office building and there's a narrator that's talking about you and he's like, Stanley awoke in his office to find that everyone was gone. And then you walk out of the room and it's like, nobody's around. What could possibly be happening? And you start, there's loads of meta. Like the narrator will say, he made his way through the left door. And then you walk through the right door and he's like, excuse me. Like I just said. Like the game goes further and further and further with all that kind of stuff. And it's really awesome. Very much recommend it.
Sounds good. El Finel says, Hello, Drinker and Mauler. It's my first super chat on your stream. Thanks for helping me get into filmmaking and writing, and thanks for the recommendation of The Prestige, Mauler. It's a new favorite.
Yeah, I adore that movie.
Bloke with superpowers says, I'm a Staffy lover. That's the dog, I guess, but occasionally dogs say a greyhound. They're so chilled. What made you pick Smokey? Well, Lara is a really chilled out greyhound to the point where she kind of gathers dust because she doesn't actually move to check that she's alive sometimes. And so went to get a second one, and I was like, let's see if we can get something that's a bit more lively, likes to play a bit more and stuff. And so said that to the people that ran the rescue center, and they're like, yeah, we've got the perfect one for you. And he came out and he was just like super friendly and excitable and stuff. And I was like, yeah, perfect. And he just fit right in. Azzy's wonky eyebrow says in an Arnie accent, screw your sobriety, out this towards your favorite doppel. Hail all at the open bar, love your content. Hail to the doggo and hail to the long man.
My God, Arnie watches us. It's crazy.
It's like, right, yeah, who would have thought? Thank you, man. Sega says, would you consider making a top 10 worst or most overrated actors in today's Hollywood? Ooh, that would be brutal, wouldn't it? Yeah, I could do something like that for sure. Trickster King says, I still prefer the original over the live action. The art also does get better as the series goes on in the manga/anime. Fair play. Ollie says, have you guys caught any Poliziotici flicks? Tough guy films in the Dirty Harry mold. Caliber 9 and Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man. Highly recommended. I haven't caught them myself, but fair enough. Pathkeeper says, best Denzel Washington movie. Like this would be for both of us, I guess. But if I had to pick, I might say The Hurricane because his performance in that was fucking brilliant. Yeah, it's
What
like truly
comes to mind for me is Man on Fire. That's going to be, but to be honest with you, I'd have to like look at the entire library of Denzel Washington movies, right?
Yeah.
It's I have to look through a lot of them. Man on Fire is the one that sticks in my memory the best. So
yeah, I always loved him in Crimson Tide as well. Great performance there. Facing off against Gene Hackman as well. That's a pretty good pairing. Bloke with superpowers says, it's awesome that you're going through every donation. Most are too good for that. Not many people do that. Great way to stand out. Thank you. I mean, I don't know, just like if people taking the time to donate money to the channel and like ask me a question, it seems like the only decent thing to do is respond to it. Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of disappointed if there's other people who just ignore them. That's a bit of a shitty thing to do. Casey Boyd says, is there a movie where you prefer the director's cut to the theatrical cut? I mean, all the Lord of the Rings movies, probably.
Yeah. Just like the famous one example.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else like that stands out.
There's going to be plenty of them probably, but off the top of my head, Lord of the Rings is the one that sort of answers that perfectly.
Yeah. I always like the extended cut of Aliens with the sentry guns and stuff. It was pretty cool. I like that one.
I think I prefer the extended cut, yeah.
And last of all, Jordan Pendragon says, I anticipate with much enthusiasm the race swapping of Rapunzel for a live-action Tangled remake. Rapunzel with an afro. Can't wait. Yeah, good luck with that. Yep, that is the last of the Super Chat Smaller. We did it once again.
We did it.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us for this, and thank you for all these awesome donations. It's super generous of you, and we really appreciate it. And probably the next time you catch us will be on the next open bar on Thursday night, so we'll look forward to seeing you there. But for now, that's all we've got. So go away now.
Bye.